Hi there, welcome back to True Gooner. And in this video here, I'm here with a Manchester United fan. I've got Bavik here. How you doing, man?
I'm alright, Seb. How are you?
Yeah, I'm good, thanks. Well, obviously, we'll be talking about the game yesterday and just about Arsenal and Manchester United seasons as a whole. So, obviously, yesterday Arsenal got 1-2-0, of course, which boosts our Arsenal's top four hopes and slightly dentons Manchester United's top four hopes. Bavik, as a United fan, what happened yesterday? Did you really thought you were actually going to get into the game, or did you really thought what actually happened yesterday?
I don't know. I was thinking that Mourinho really didn't take the game quite seriously. I think he definitely prioritised the Europa League interview that it's two games in the Europa League you have to win to get into the Champions League, whereas four games in the Premier League. So obviously winning two games easier than four games, and I think that's the exact words he used. So I think he set out a squad in that same mentality. I think the best he was hoping for was a nil-nil draw away from home, which would have been a good result. I think you definitely saw that in the team selection in particular. A lot of players who are fringe players, really potentially players who are going to move on in the summer. A good debut for Axel Tuanzebe, who I thought played
Yeah, he
pretty
had a
well.
very good game, I thought.
A couple of players coming back after 7 weeks of injury. So you got Chris Smalling, Phil Jones, who aren't the best players when they're regularly fit, but coming back from injury, coming up against the pace of Sanchez and Welbeck, they're always going to struggle a little bit. Um, I think, yeah, without Pogba playing, I think United had a little bit missing. I don't think we really cared for the. I don't think the fans cared too much for the result. I think it was resting up for Celta Vigo on Thursday, really. So I don't think top four was a big aspiration. Plus the fact that Liverpool also have a couple of points on us anyway, and to be fair, top four isn't guaranteed for Arsenal either. So I don't think
Oh no,
either team was
absolutely not.
really in position to take advantage regardless of the result. But I wasn't too fussed about the result. I would have liked to draw. I would have liked to win, but we've got Celta Vigo on Thursday, and I'd like to see us win that and then potentially beat Ajax or Lyon in the final of Europa League.
Yeah, definitely. So it was clear that Mourinho was more focused on the Europa League because obviously, of course, you've just got. But don't you think that's a little bit dangerous because obviously it's a cup competition, so anything can happen in that.
It's definitely dangerous, especially considering how we've played all season. I don't think any game's a guaranteed win, especially against a very good-looking Ajax team who most likely final. Looking at that team, I think would struggle to be honest. And if we play like we did over the last few weeks against Ajax, I think they potentially were the favourites for the final. Saying that, Mourinho knows how to win his trophies. He'll set out a team which knows how to win. He'll definitely use the strongest 11 when it comes to it. And I think he'll set out a mentality where we'll be tough to break down and probably look to use our experience against Ajax. So I
Yeah,
know Ajax have a very young team, so that they could crumble when it comes to the big time in the final.
yeah, definitely. Knowing what you said about making loads of changes, because if you actually look at a United team, apart from your young right backs who actually played really well, I still think it was a strong enough side out there to cause Arsenal problems. And to be fair, in the first half, both teams were just very poor. But as soon as we got the goals, I didn't really see a lot of fight from you guys to look like you wanted to
Yeah,
get
I
back
think
into the
it's a
game.
resigned performance from a lot of the players. They weren't set up to score goals, particularly. I think they were banking on a nil-nil draw, and as soon as we conceded, there wasn't any ideas and no plans to score anymore. Like Herrera, who probably was the most creative player in that midfield, was sitting really deep. Mata got had to track back all the time, and he's not very good at that. And therefore, because he's tracking back, he's not got the pace to get forward. Mkhitaryan, he had some bright moments in the first half. He got caught up tracking back too much, and it's similar to what happened in the away game against City. Our wide players who have to support Martial got too busy tracking back, couldn't get forward, and he was very isolated. And I think he had an all right performance for some. You can't really expect much when he's very isolated up top, and he's potentially dealing with three centre backs as it was because Arsenal set up like that. So there wasn't any real by any of the United players. And I think the way we set up, we weren't ready to score any goals, and especially when we conceded, it wasn't going to happen. I think it was Mourinho was trying to grind out a nil-nil draw, and I was lucky as it may be with the deflection, huge deflection, but it's what it is. If you take a shot from there, you've always got a chance of scoring. So well done to Arsenal. I think it does paper over the cracks a little bit for Arsenal.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah,
So we've got the win here and season. I think the thing Arsenal need to look at the moment is winning the next few games just to build momentum for the FA Cup final. Because realistically, if you win that, I'd say you have to win that to make it somewhat of a satisfactory season, really.
yeah, true. But to be very honest with you, I do also think a top four finish is pretty much just as more important because because obviously we need to get into the Champions League if we're going to really attract big players and to really just keep and also keep our best players and really just match the ambition that we want to actually get going somewhere. Obviously, this win does kind of give us some hope, but of course we have to win all four of our remaining fixtures and they're tough games. We've got two away trips away at Southampton and Stoke, and then we've got Sunderland and Everton at the end. And obviously, it does rely on Liverpool need to slip up one more game.
Yeah, that's the other thing. They've got a difficult away game, West Ham, but then they've got Middlesbrough, who I think have just been relegated by Chelsea
Yeah,
tonight. So I think that's not really. I think Liverpool potentially have quite an easy run in.
oh, absolutely.
But in terms of what you're saying about Arsenal trying to sign players, I think there's three factors that could affect that. If you win the FA Cup, that still shows Arsenal are a winning team in some regards. So you'll still attract a certain level of player like that.
Yeah,
The other thing is Arsenal, this is their first season they won't be without Champions League. So I think the pedigree is still with Arsenal and the name, the stadium, everything Arsenal have. I think we'll still be able to attract a certain level of players. And to be honest, have Arsenal really attracted the world's best over the last 10 years? Not really.
mhm,
They've attracted the same level of players, be it apart from Sanchez and Ozil. They've attracted the same level of players. So I don't think you're going to attract any less quality of players this summer. I think it's going to be about the same. And the third thing would be what direction the club's going to go in terms of ownership and management. Because say if you get a very inspirational manager, which I've been seeing, like Allegri's been linked to you,
yeah, definitely.
and a few other managers, those type of managers, Allegri could bring over a few Juventus players just because he's worked with them, or a few of the kind of Italian league players who probably wouldn't have thought about coming to Arsenal, but with Allegri as manager, they could come along. So I don't think it's all doom and gloom quite yet for Arsenal. I think this is their first season they potentially won't be in the Champions League in however many years. So I think it could be a rebuilding season. It may take a couple of years to get back to the levels which once were, but I think this type of season needs to happen to kind of like make everyone realise what needs to be done to become a title challenger again.
Yeah, definitely. I totally agree with you there. I hope we do get Allegri because I really like how he's developed Juventus into the team that they are right now, heading into the Champions League semi-final, winning Serie A. But yeah, we'll have to watch his space on that one. That one. I also don't think it doesn't help with Wenger not actually coming out and telling us what he's actually doing, if he's actually staying or going. I don't think that helps. Do you also think that's a bit of the factor that he's not coming out
Oh
and telling us?
well, I'm under the opinion that, well, for me particularly, I've had a few difficult seasons with United, and whenever I saw Moyes or Van Gaal, I'm never a fan of getting rid of the manager any point during the season unless they're doing horrifically bad, say as Mourinho was at Chelsea a couple of years back.
Mm.
That point, I'd potentially fire a manager. But if a manager's doing a mediocre job, such as potentially what Wenger is doing this year or Van Gaal did the year before, I always give him to the end of the season because I don't think anything good can come of it. To him telling him that they're telling the press or the fans that he's going to leave at this point in the season. I think they've got 4 games left or 5 games left of the FA Cup. What good's it going to do in telling that you're going to leave? You might as well just potentially could tell the players behind the scenes, but I don't think there's anything to gain from him confirming whether he's leaving or not. I think if he just says I'm playing my games out to the end of the season, then I'll decide at the end. I think that's fair enough because as I said, nothing good to come from it, and it might negatively affect performance. So for now, I think as an Arsenal fan and Arsenal fans in general, they should be a little bit more patient with him. Again, you have to, as I think personally, he should go, but he has been the most successful manager, and I think
Oh
you
yes,
should give him
definitely.
respect at the end of the season.
Oh yes,
Yes,
absolutely. Yeah.
everyone's been asking for change immediately, but Allegri's not going to come in at this point in the season. He's going to come in the summer. So
Oh
you might
yeah,
as well give
yeah.
Wenger to the end of the FA Cup. He doesn't have to come out and say, I'm going to leave now.
Oh
If
no,
he
no,
wins,
no, no, no. We weren't saying you have to leave now and leave for the end of the
yeah,
season.
leave at the end of the
Yeah.
season. But I don't think he has to announce it now. I think he can if he goes and picks up the FA Cup at Wembley and he wants to announce it in the post-match conference there. I think that'd be a good send-off for a manager who's been quite successful over his years, albeit not over the last eight or 9 years. But I think that's a good send-off for a manager. who has been very successful to the club.
Yeah, definitely. Totally agree. Totally agree with you there. So obviously, let's just talk about your season in general. How do you really think it's gone? It hasn't really gone too well league-wise with you because you currently
I,
lie fifth, but you have won
I,
the League Cup and you are doing well in the Europa League, and it does look like your favourites to go on and win that. So do you think it's been an okay season for you with Jose Mourinho?
I think it's been better than okay, to be honest. I think when I came into the season, all I wanted was the return of Champions League football, which we've got avenue to do, and potentially have a first seeding as well. By winning the Europa League, we can avoid all the big teams next year. Second of all, we won a trophy in the EFL Cup, which we haven't won a proper trophy since the FA Cup obviously the year before, but we haven't won the EFL Cup in several years. So that's something. And the other thing is we built up a resiliency within the team. At the beginning of the season, we weren't looking like a proper team, but we built up a definite resiliency that we can go to Man City away and draw 0-0. Yesterday, I think we kind of gave up, but had Mourinho used his first team, I reckon we could get a 0-0 draw away at Arsenal. I think that's a good result. Getting a draw away at one of the top 6 teams, that's a good result in my book. We built up resilience. We got a 25 match unbeaten streak, which was only broken yesterday. So I'm definitely happy with the season. I think some of the players like Depay and Schneiderlin potentially had to go. So I think it's a good, especially it's Mourinho's first season. So this summer he'll get rid of some of the players that he's been moaning about in the press, and he'll get in some of the players that he's been looking to get. So I think it's been quite a successful season actually, as opposed to an okay season. Um, yeah, that's only said if we get the Champions League though. If we don't get the Champions League, then it's not a very good season.
Yeah, I totally agree with you there. I think Champions League is what you really should try and get because even when you won the FA Cup last season, a lot of your fans weren't happy because you still didn't get what you really wanted, which was Champions League. And the same thing could easily happen to us this season. So, did you feel that way that you felt top four was more important than winning an FA Cup, or were you just happy that you
Definitely,
actually won?
I think the way that the world views football, and especially as you're saying transfers, if you're in the Champions League, you're going to attract a slightly better quality of players. I think the FA Cup definitely lost its value over the years. I think actually over the last 2 or 3 seasons, it's regained when like teams like Arsenal, Man United have been winning it and like putting their strong squads forward. I think it's definitely gained some credibility back. But it's never. I think the revenue and the prestige that comes with being in the top 4 is a lot greater than what is FA Cup offers. So I think a priority should always be top 4. If you can get the FA Cup additionally to that, perfect. If not, take the Champions League.
Yeah, definitely. Let's also talk about your two big signings in the summer, which obviously didn't feature yesterday. Pogba because he was rested, and Ibrahimovic because I think he was injured, wasn't he? And obviously
Yeah.
you also had, and also Bailey, I thought was a good signing for you at the back. He was rested. So how do you think you've done with those three? Obviously Ibrahimovic has had a major fracture. Pogba, I do think for you he's done all right in his first season, and Bailey's been an important player. Did you think Ibrahimovic was a miss yesterday? Do you think if you started those three maybe yesterday, also that you could have actually got something out of the game?
Yeah, I think Ibrahimovic just loses class. I mean, we've seen it in the goals he scored this season, and we've seen the performance we've had without him. I mean, United, I think we've created the most chances without scoring the most goals in the league this year. So we've created chances left, right, and centre. No one's putting away. And with the quality Ibrahimovic brings up front, he'd be the guy to put it away. And he's a big miss. Don't know what's going to happen with him next season because how is he going to recover from a cruciate injury? Is he going to retire? I don't know how good he's going to be next year. Whether we're willing to pay him as much as we are paying him this or that. There's talk of Griezmann coming in. Is he going to play if Ibrahimovic plays? Is Rashford going to get a chance? So next season's a bit of a wonder with Ibrahimovic. In terms of Bailly, he's been one of the better signings of the summer. Um, Not many centre backs been as good as him in the Premier League this year, and I think our record shows when we've had him and we haven't how good of a club we've actually been. Um, I don't know whether I've lost connection to you.
Fine. Sorry
Hello?
about that. There was a problem with my network. Sorry. Do you mind if you could say that again? So,
Okay, so
about
who was I
Pogba
talking?
and Ibrahimovic.
Yeah, Ibrahimovic. So yeah, don't know where he's going to be next year with the confusion with in terms of what players we're going to have next year. If Rashford's going to get a chance, or if Griezmann's coming in, whether he's going to get a starting 11 spot. Moving on to Bailly, I think he's been the best centre back we've had this season, probably potentially one of the best in the Premier League, albeit Koscielny, Vertonghen, you've got some other, like Chelsea, you've got David Luiz, but I think if you look at the stats, when he's been playing and when he's not playing, he's made a real difference to United's defence. Plus, he's got genuine pace to keep up some of the fast strikers that we're seeing today. I saw him outpace Jamie Vardy when we were playing Leicester, and if anything, that's what Jamie Vardy was known for last season. So a real good hit, and plus the fact that he was signed from the same club that Gabriel was signed for Arsenal, and I think there's a stark difference in ability there. Whereas Gabriel's not built for the Premier League, Eric Bailly was. And with Paul Pogba, I think a lot of people had very unrealistic expectations of what he was going to bring to United. He's definitely not going to bring the goals he had at Juventus because he's playing in a much deeper role. And if you look at some of the stats, he's got the most chances created, most passes in the opposition half in the Premier League. So he's definitely played well. I think next year he could be even better when he's a year back into English football. So I think, yes, people are going to see the price tag and expect the world from him. But as a United fan, I'm happy with what he's done this year, and potentially we'll need players like him if we're going to win leagues, if we're going to win Champions League. He's the type of pedigree player we need.
Yeah, definitely. I totally agree with you there. Yeah, I think your new signings have done all right, and yeah, I do actually think you'll probably, sadly, unfortunately, you probably will get Griezmann if you make Champions League. I do think you will get him. There's a signing I'd have loved Arsenal to get, but I don't think it'll come.
I think the issue is, I think potentially with a few of the Mourinho's trying to get rid of a few of our like fringe players like Smalling, Jones, Luke Shaw, a few of them players are going to go, and especially with David De Gea to Real Madrid. What's going to happen with that?
Do you think he's going to go? Okay.
I think there's going to be rumours. I don't know whether he's going to go. I'd love for him to say. He obviously signed that big contract. He seems happy enough here. Whether the draw of winning a Champions League and winning leagues consistently is going to draw him away. I think Real Madrid can afford him, but I don't think United should sell him for anything less than 50 million because I think that's how much he's worth. He's, in my opinion, the second best keeper in the world, and you have to pay for that kind of ability.
Yeah, definitely, definitely. He's definitely a very good keeper, and he's been in the team of the year three times in a row, and exactly. The amount of points he saved you. Even yesterday, I thought he did very well. Some of the saves he pulled off,
especially against Aaron Ramsey. Some of that save in the first half was particularly good.
Yeah, it's just phenomenal. It's just phenomenal, and considering where he was when he first joined you, he was really struggling, and now the last 3 seasons he's just literally got up. And now, as you're right,
since then.
Probably joint best goalkeeper in the league with Manuel Neuer. So yeah, definitely. And obviously, because of course Arsenal got the 2 goals and went on to win the match. What did you make of them? Did you think Arsenal deserved the win? And also, I do have to mention that Danny Welbeck. Do you think you would still be better with him, or do you think you were right to get rid of him?
Arsenal definitely deserved the win. I think they penetrated a little bit more, especially those chances in the first half where De Gea saved us and we had a few good challenges in the box. Arsenal definitely deserved the win. Whether that performance reflects how good of a team Arsenal are, I think it's a different question. In terms of Arsenal, I think there's a few players Arsenal probably do need to get rid of, because I've seen a lot of Arsenal fans on Twitter and Facebook questioning the passion. And a lot of those players don't deserve to wear the badge or not good enough to wear the badge. A few particulars I'd like to mention, which I've seen from a opposing fan's perspective, is as I said, mentioned earlier, Gabriel. I don't think he's cut for the Premier League. He's not quite good enough. Kieran Gibbs is another one. I'm not too sure whether he's good enough for Arsenal. Theo Walcott, I don't know how he keeps getting into that team.
I think Theo Walcott's had an okay season. He did well at the start.
But in the long run, I don't think he's good enough for Arsenal. I think Arsenal are a better club than him. If you think 10 years ago, you had like Henry, Perez, and players like that, and now you're relying on Walcott. I think that says it all, really, a little bit. Giroud's a bit hit and miss. He's a good squad player. I don't think he's a starting striker. So I think, again, this year, Arsenal needed a striker. I think that's where it boils down to again. And potentially, I don't know about El Neni. I don't know whether I'm not seeing much of him.
The times he's come in, he's done okay. I wouldn't say
he's done okay, but I don't think he's again. Arsenal had Patrick Vieira 10 years ago when they were competing for Premier League and Champions League final. Patrick Vieira, that's a stark difference in quality. Back to Danny Welbeck, when he was a United player, I wasn't his biggest fan. His finishing never really impressed me, and I always remember the fact that he tried to chip Manuel Neuer against Bayern Munich in that quarter-final where David Moyes could have beaten Bayern Munich in the year they won it. So that really frustrated me. Would we be a better squad with him? I don't think so, because we've been lacking a natural finisher, and he's not a natural finisher. He's a good player, not a natural finisher. We're missing a Hernandez-type player, not a Welbeck-type player. And also, I'd like to say, fair enough for Danny Welbeck celebrating against United. I think he plays for Arsenal now, so celebrate all you want. You play for a team, celebrate your goals. I think it was different if it was someone who played for us for 15 years and had gone, but he'd only played. He got sold. I think that's fair enough.
Yeah, definitely. Obviously, I was happy he did celebrate, but obviously, you mentioned a few things about the top reformer players that we used to have, like Vieira, Henry, Bergkamp, and do you seriously think that both these teams, that before Arsenal and Manchester United used to be the two heavyweights of England that everyone would pretty much get up and watch for, when we were challenging for the titles in like the early 2000s and 2001, when it was both us two, and now this is kind of, well, it's still a big game, it's still an important game, but it's not really the exciting game that everyone thought it was. Do you think this has shown how far fallen both Arsenal and Manchester United have fallen lately?
I think so, definitely, yeah. I think the issue, which is the stark difference between the two teams at the moment, is United fell after Ferguson left as manager, whereas Arsenal have fallen whilst Wenger's still manager. So I think there's a difference there. United still had the ability when Ferguson was there, and they're in a rebuilding phase with new managers. Arsenal haven't yet hit the rebuilding phase, so you don't know how long they might be potentially in this position longer. United, when Ferguson left, were champions of the Premier League, so he left a top team, and then they went down. Arsenal, potentially Wenger's leaving a 5th or 6th place team. How low could they go, and how long could they be in the kind of looking from the outside in? Nobody knows it. Hopefully, these two teams can return to the top. Again, I don't know whether you've been seeing, but a lot of people are complaining about the pre-match tunnel incidents where everyone's hugging each other. I like the days when Roy Keane and Patrick Vieira were each other's throats.
Yeah, I remember that.
Yeah, the Ruud van Nistelrooy and Martin Keown. Yes, that's where the games are lively and they're a lot more entertaining. I think players are too nice to each other. I think that a lot effectively Arsenal United games used to be derby games where you used to challenge them flying in and everything. So I used to enjoy those days. I remember them from my youth.
Same here.
They're some of my favourite games. So I think it definitely shows that both teams have fallen from grace, that we kind of have to accept that our games are no longer the pivotal game of the season. Saying that, I don't think many of the teams, like Chelsea, have been up and down over the last few years. Man City have kind of dropped a bit, and obviously Leicester winning league. So I don't think there are many big games left in the Premier League. Not to the standard that were 10 years ago. There was a big four: Liverpool, Chelsea, Arsenal, United. Whenever those four teams played against each other, it was the biggest game of the calendar. I don't think anything's like that anymore because there's a big 7 teams now, or a big 6 teams. So I think, and obviously those teams interchange between first, second, third, fourth, fifth, and sixth. So I think the Premier League's changed now, and I think it's changed for the better, a bit more competitive. But obviously, I'd like to see United and Arsenal back at the top, fighting neck and neck for the title.
Yeah, so would I, obviously, yeah. Because it's been a long time since, well, it's certainly been a long time since we last challenged for the title, but for you, it seems a little bit of, well, obviously, you've won more titles recently than we have, because our last one was 2004, your last one was 2013, so obviously Ferguson did keep you going. So what do you think that factor actually was, that Ferguson managed to keep going and Wenger didn't? Do you think that Ferguson changed his ways? Do you think that Ferguson just knew that the game was changing, and do you think Wenger?
Well, I think partly it was to do with the stadium move for Arsenal, because I think Arsenal definitely went into a shell in the transfer market, and they didn't really produce many youth players in that time who've really come through into the team now. If you look at the Arsenal squad, how many of the starting 11 are from the youth team? I can't think. Well, like Jack Wilshere was the one.
Jack Wilshere,
personally, I don't think he's that good. Plus, he keeps getting injured. Again, Kieran Gibbs not quite good enough, to be honest. So when you're not buying players in the transfer window, you have to produce from the academy. Didn't do that. Fergie definitely relied on a lot of youth players coming through, and when he realised the youth players wouldn't do it, he went and bought someone. Case in point, he went and bought Robin van Persie when we lost the City on goal difference. He knew we needed a few more goals and we were in the league. That's what we did. Whenever we needed a player, he went and bought Berbatov 30 million. Berbatov won us a few leagues. He went and bought Tevez. He went and bought a striker, Hernandez. He went and bought goals for the team. And I think he knew when to mould and reshape the team. We lost Ronaldo. We still went and won the league the next year.
Yeah, he did.
So that's the thing. Ferguson, great motivator, yes, and people inspirational. When he thought he had him as a manager, we could use the most naff players here and there. We could still win a game. I think the other thing is he knew how strong his squad was, and he knew who he had to get to what goals he wanted to achieve by the end of the season. I don't think Wenger quite ever knew that, and his reluctance to spend money when Arsenal do have money on the positions. He's claimed for the last few years that there's not enough good players out there, yet he's went and bought some very ropey players himself. So he can't claim both things by saying you go and buy the bad players, but also claim there are no good players, so he's not going to sign anyone. You either spend loads of money on these bad players and not complain, or you go and buy the good players, like spend break the bank for them. If you think like Granit Xhaka costs the same amount of N'Golo Kante this year, there's a stark difference in ability right there. Obviously, Xhaka's first season in the league, but he might improve next year. But El Neni, I thought another weird signing, a bit of a
he was only £5 million. He's only £5 million this week.
Yeah, Wenger seems to buy all these squad players and rotating in and out. Whereas I think you need to buy another 3 more players in the caliber of Ozil and Sanchez.
Yeah, definitely.
To spend that money.
And we need to keep them as well, because it's not certain we'll keep them this summer.
What's wrong with Arsenal is go and spend 40, 50 million on Kylian Mbappe. Why not? What harm can come with that? He's a quality player. He's scoring goals left, right, centre. Yes, he's young. Go and buy him. That's the thing. Like, you've got the money, go and buy. What's the point of buying 3 players for 15 million who's going to fill your squad? Buy that next youngster who's going to be that striker for the next 10 years. I think that's the top player. Go and get Paulo Dybala. There's so many players out there.
Yeah.
You'd spend, I think, 50 million on 1 good player rather than 15 million on 3 players. And I think that's where Arsenal are missing there. That one quality player. As we saw with, Gareth Bale at Tottenham, they've tried to replace him with 6, 7 players. They didn't do very well. They were better with 1 good player than him. Suarez at Liverpool. They sold him for 89. They bought half of Southampton with him. How well do they do next season? Not very well at all. Because it turns out 1 good player is better than a squad full of average players.
Yeah, definitely. Totally agree with you there. We definitely need some more world-class players in our team, of course. And I think it's very important we need to keep them as well, because Ozil and Sanchez, our contracts is coming.
Pay them what they want.
Yeah, absolutely.
Pay them what they want. Go and buy them a house in Arsenal, because Arsenal, they're playing in a good stadium. They're playing for a good club. They're living in London, so you can't really ask for much more in terms of outside of football. Inside of football, just pay them as much as you want. Because, as I said, if you get rid of them, replacing them with 2 players half their value, it's not going to cut
absolutely
it.
not.
I don't know where Arsenal will be without Sanchez this year. My opinions on Ozil are a little bit different. I think he's not the level where Sanchez is, because he goes missing in big games. And if you go missing in big games, you have to help out defensively. He doesn't do that either. So I think he can be amazing. And some of the best goals I've seen over the last 2 years have been by Ozil, where he just completely, his technical ability outfoxes the opponents. But I think you need some supporting players. I think Mbappe would be a great signing for you. An 18-year-old striker who's banging in goals left, right, and centre in that Arsenal team with that passing aesthetic, playing balls in behind. That's like a perfect formula for me.
Definitely.
I think that's the type of player you need. Considering you're trying to sign Jamie Vardy last year, he's Jamie Vardy, similar to Vardy, but a lot better and a lot younger.
Yeah, definitely. Totally agree with you there. Well, it'll certainly be an interesting summer. All right, so we'll wrap the show up there. Thanks ever so much, David, for joining you on.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah, it's been absolutely great having you, and you really seem like you know your football from both.
Yeah. Watch it all the time, so I better know it now.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, and just a final quick question for you. Do you think Manchester United and Arsenal will make top 4 this season, or do you think we'll both miss out, or do you think one will make it and one will?
This season, I don't think either of them make it. Next season, I think at least one of them will make it.
All right, there you go. And thanks obviously viewers for watching, of course. Please hit that like button and hit that subscribe button if you haven't done it. It really helps me out. And as always, I'll be speaking to you soon. Thanks once again, Barry, for joining me. I'll speak to you soon.